Hey, Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off this video by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakak, Kwadash, and double honor to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of the great millstone that rule well, teach well, while learning truth, 100% according to the Bible. Also want to say shalom to the elect, the 144,000 men, prophet service, scattered abroad the four corners of the earth, and shalom to you, Akwaf, which are you sisters that are sincere, your children, shalom. And in today's video, as you can see, is going to be building off of this video I got here from the guy Dabu7, you see, and ultimately this is what you have going on in the news. And as you can see from the title of it, it said a mystery object half the size of the sun is headed our way, you see. So we know that ultimately our Lord Yahweh Shah, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, that he's ultimately returning in a spaceship, or what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, you see. And we know that that day is fastly approaching because we can ultimately see that is coming close through all of the prophecies that are coming to pass in this time of season, all of the sightings of the chariots. We know that ultimately we're coming close to that day. You see, and these devils know that as well. You see these Edomites, all of these different scientists and, you know, elites that are at the top that are watching these, you know, images and looking at the skies and watching all of the signs that are happening. They know that that day is fastly approaching as well. You see, because there is something that's going to take place. You see, when the Lord returns, he's coming to take down this man Esau, Edom's queendom, man. You see, and he's going to take it down by violence. You see, that's the whole point that it goes into in Revelation chapter 12, verse 7. You see, and I'm actually grab that precept, right, through the Spirit. It says, and there was war in heaven. You see, that's talking about in the sky. You see, that's talking about ultimately on in the earth atmosphere when the Lord comes from the fourth dimension and comes into the earth, you see, with the heavenly hosts, you see. And it says Michael and his angels, right, fought against the dragon representing Esau, and the dragon fought and his angels. This is what's going to take place when the Lord returns, you see, because ultimately Esau, Edom, and his militaries are going to try to fight against the Lord, you see. And these devils know that this day is fastly approaching. That's why you keep hearing them talking about, you know, sightings in the skies and these so-called UFOs. And that's why they're so invested in it, because they know that this day is fastly approaching, and they know that their rulership is getting ready to go down, man. You see, it's only a matter of time. This is verse 8. It said, and prevailed not, neither was their place found any more in heaven, you see, because the Lord is going to destroy this man, you see. And it says, verse 9, and the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil, right? And Satan, meaning the deceiver, which is the so-called white man, which is the physical counterpart of the spiritual demon Satan on the left-hand side. It said, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels was cast out with him. That's talking about his militaries and all of his different F-22 fighter jets and all of these different things that these devils are going to think that they can use to fight against the Lord when he returns. You see, these devils know that this day is coming soon. That's why you see them preparing and getting everything in order, coming out with their Space Force and all of this different type of stuff, because they really believe in their minds that they're going to stand a chance. You see, but ultimately we know how that's going to play out, right? And I'm going to actually go to 2nd Esdras chapter 13, right? And we're going to get into that, right? But before I do, I'm going to get into this video, right? And we're going to listen to what it is the guy is saying first, because what caught my attention was about the mile that they're basically saying that the so-called UFO is. They said that it's over 7,000 miles. And we know that the Lord is going to return in a chariot, you see, longer than, you know, the prophet Esdras couldn't even measure it in his dream. That's how, you know, humongous it ultimately was. So, things like that, you know, it raises awareness in us, you know, because we ultimately know that, like I said, we're in that time of season, you see. That's why it tells you in Romans chapter 13 and 11, you see, and that knowing the time that it is now high time to awake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than we believe, roughly paraphrasing it, you see. So we know that our salvation is getting closer, man, because like I said, we see all of the prophecies coming to pass, things are falling in line, and we see ultimately sightings of the chariots, man, and these devils are seeing the sightings of the chariots. So that's indicating that they know as well that their time is getting ready to come to an end, man, you see, which is wonderful, man. You see, all us hopeful elect brothers and sisters, you know, we should be rejoicing in this time, ultimately knowing what's coming, man. You see what Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is about to do. And Lord's will we be at the elect, we ultimately be delivered, you see, in the very near future, man. Because, it's sooner coming than what most people think, man. You see. Fair use on the 1976 Copyright Act. Not getting paid for this video. Fair use.
This is Dabu7. We have some updated information here in regards to 3i Atlas. Is this thing really a comet, is the question. We have scientists all over the world giving their thoughts on this, and new data is now in, especially the images from the James Webb Telescope. They're showing that this thing It's not off-gassing like a comet normally does. And if you can't tell from the images here, there is no tail on this alleged comet. Now, the information they have put out there already was that they believe that this has some sort of internal light source that's giving off this light. They say that it would have to be over 12 miles long if it was reflecting light. And now they've used some of their instruments.
Right. And you heard what it is. He ultimately said that, hey, it was over, 12 miles, I believe he said, long, or it could have been longer than that, Salakia. But I'm actually replay it so we can hear it because, I don't want to get it wrong. But he just said the length of it.
That's giving off this light. They say that it would have to be over 12 miles long if it was reflecting light.
Right. Yeah. 12 miles long. So like I said, man, 12 miles long, man. Hey, that's a big old, thing. But we know ultimately when the Lord returns, the chariot, the fathership, he's going to come in. It's going to be larger than that. You see, and I'm going to actually go into that precept, 2nd Esdras 13 now, right? Because this is ultimately what's going to return, or what's going to happen when the Lord returns, I should say, you see. So I'm actually grab it. And I'm going to start at verse 1. And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. You see, this is the prophet Esdras ultimately having a vision, you see, of ultimately the return of the Lord and what's going to happen when he returns, which he's coming to ultimately to take down the rulership of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. You see, as it tells you in 2nd Esdras 6 and 9, for Esau is the end of the world, meaning this current rulership, this age, and Jacob, right, is the beginning of it that followeth, you see. And it says, verse 2, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea that it moved all the waves thereof. You see, this is talking about when the Lord comes from out of the 4th dimension, you see, and comes into the earth, you see. It says, verse 3, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, you see, because the Lord is going to return with an innumerable multitude amount of angels, you see. And I'm actually go to a precept just, bagging on that. This is Psalms chapter 68, verse 17 in the KJV. It says the chariots, right, which are the vehicles that the angels are going to return in, which are so-called UFOs or spaceships of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord, right, Yahushua, who the world English calls Jesus, is among them as in Sinai in the holy place. So like I said before, man, the Lord is going to return with the heavenly host, man, right? And that day is fastly approaching, right? So I'm going to get back to it. It says, and I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him, you see, because ultimately these people are going to be afraid, man. When the Lord returns, you see, it gives you a vivid depiction of that in Revelation chapter 1, verse 7, you see. And I'm actually grabbed that too through the Spirit. It says, behold, he cometh with clouds, right? The Lord coming with the chariots. And every eye shall see him, you see, and they are going to see the Lord because ultimately the size of the fathership that he's going to return in is going to be so massive. Everybody's going to see the Lord, you see. And they also which pierced him going into reincarnation, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so Amen. So like I said, this is the day that's coming, man, you see. And Esau knows this day is fastly approaching. That's why he's ultimately continuing to look in space. And you see, and always trying to watch and see what's coming in and out and what's going up. Because, hey, this devil knows that, like I said, his time is running out, man. You see, he knows it, right? So I'm going to actually get back to 2nd Esdras 13, and we're going to start at verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth felleth when it filleth the fire. Because ultimately when the Lord returns, he's coming back to take down this man's rulership by violence, as I said. And he's going to, be doing it via the chariots or the spaceships, you see. And they're going to be emitting or shooting out laser beams, right? You see. And it says, verse 5, and after this I beheld, and lo, there were gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea, right? And when you look into that word subdue, it means to overcome. So ultimately, we know that Lord Yahushua is going to return during the midst of the Third World War, you see, with the heavenly host. And ultimately, Esau, Edom, and these heathen nations are ultimately going to feel in their mind as though they can fight against the Lord and overcome him. That's what they're going to have in their mind, you see. And ultimately, it's the Lord that's putting the spirit on them, because we know the Lord is the one that's controlling these devils. But hey, this is what's going to happen when the Lord returns, man, you see. And it says, verse 6, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it, right? That's talking about the fathership, right? The chariot. Verse 7, it says, but I would have seen the region or place where the hill was graven, and I could not. You see, ultimately talking about how long and massive it was, man. You see, the prophet Esdras in his dream couldn't even fathom, you see, just how big it actually was, man. So just imagine how in real life, when the Lord really does make his appearing, how big the chariot is going to be, man. It's going to be humongous, man. You see? At Abba Ratazah, we pray and hope that we're delivered and we're beamed up into it, you see, because, hey, we don't want to ultimately feel the judgment of what we know is to come upon these people, man. You see, because when the Lord returns, it's going to be a day of judgment. It's not going to be a day of, peace and all of these other different type of things that, they taught people growing up in these Christian churches. No, it's going to be a day of judgment and darkness, man. You see, and we want to escape that dark day, you see, by being delivered. Right. So I'm going to finish reading it. This is I'm going to read verse 8. And it said, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. Why? Because the Lord is going to put the spirit on this devil to fight, man, and their militaries, so he can destroy them. All right. Verse 9. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. Right. Verse 10, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests, you see. And that's ultimately going to be done through the laser beams of the chariots, man. You see, the so-called UFOs, they're going to be shooting out fire, man, heavenly fire upon these people, man, you see. So, that's what's ultimately going to come to this place, America, man, and it's going to happen over there because we know the Lord is going to make his way from the east to the west, you see. So he's going to come ultimately upon these armies while they're in the valley of Jehoshaphat fighting, and he's going to burn them, man, you see. And this is verse 11. It says, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, right? Talking about these armies that Esau is going to gather in all of these nations, and burnt them up every one, so that upon the sudden of an innumerable multitude, nothing was to be perceived but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid, you see. And like I said, these Edomites, they know that this day is coming soon, man. That's why they're afraid. That's why they're scared. That's why they're looking all into space and trying to, see what these, so-called UFOs are, which they know they're the angels of the Lord. But like I said, they're not going to tell these people that, you see, but they know that their time is running out, man, and that, hey, it's coming soon. You see, so I'm gonna actually grab another precept that I got right here, because like I said, when the Lord returns, it's going to be a day of darkness, man. And that's what's going to happen soon come, right? Not too many prophecies ultimately have to be fulfilled or to come to pass before the Lord returns. We're literally at the end. You see, only thing you have is really just the MOTB coming to pass, which we see everything that's ultimately moving in this society is pushing that into the direction of that coming to pass. And also you have World War III sparking off already. You see, the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble is here. So, I mean, hey, the Lord is coming fastly, man. You see? So, I'm actually grab this because we know that the Lord is going to return in a so-called spaceship, man. You see, what the world ignorantly calls UFOs. That's what a lot of people don't believe or understand, but they're going to see it for themselves. A lot of these people with their own eyes. You see, a lot of you unbelievers, a lot of you scoffers, a lot of you people, you see, if you live that long, because a lot of you people are not even going to live that long, just being honest. But those that do live to see the return of the Lord, hey, you people are going to see, man. You see these things for yourself, right? This is Acts chapter 1, and I'm going to start at verse 9. And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud, which is a dark sand for the chariots, right, or the UFOs, received him out of their sight, right? The Lord was beamed up, right? Verse 10, and while they looked steadfastly towards heaven as he went up, behold, two men stood by them in white apparel, which were angels, right? Verse 11, which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven, right? Because the disciples at the times, which later on became apostles, they were looking up into the sky because ultimately the Lord was beamed up in a whirlwind by a chariot, you see? Just like the prophet Elijah was beamed up, as it tells you about in 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 12, right? So it says, this same Yahushua, right, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven, right? So the angels told the disciples at the time that the same way the Lord left this place, that's how he's going to return, which is through a spaceship, man. You see, and when he returns in those spaceships, he's coming to bring judgment, man. You see, and I'm going to go to a precept on that. Isaiah chapter 66 and 15. For behold, the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, will come with fire, you see, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, you see, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire, man, right? This is what the Lord is coming to bring, man, judgment. Verse 16, for by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. And when you go into that word slain, it means to be put down in a violent fashion. So when the Lord returns, you see, it's going to be a very devastating day, man. You see, for you 2/3, you heathens, a lot of you people, man, it's going to be a terrible day. And like I said, Abaratazah, we just pray and hope that we're the Lord's elect, that in this day when it comes, that we're able to escape the judgment that we know the Lord is going to pour out upon these people. Right? Especially upon this place, America. You see, we don't want to be in this place when the Lord ultimately allows that fire and those missiles to land down upon this place. Because like I said, the Lord is going to return during the midst of World War III. Right? He's going to deliver his elect. And then, hey, this place, America, is going to be a memory after that. You know, this place is going to be judged, and we don't want no parts of that. Right? So I'm going to actually, get back into this video so we can finish listening to what it is the guy's saying. But like I said, brothers and sisters, these times are coming soon, so we got to constantly be in the spirit. This is not a time to be getting weak. This is not a time to be, trying to go back into the world and things like that. No, this is a time to be, getting closer to the Lord now more than ever, man. Because, hey, like I said, these terrible times are upon us, you see, and things are about to heat up real soon, man. It's only a matter of time. Things are already heated up, but it's only going to get worse, right? Until the return of the Lord, you see. But yeah, we're going to get back into this video, so bear with me. Bear with me. All right. All right. Salakia for that. It was an ad that was playing. I just had to,
It's off-gassing.
Allow that to, skip past or whatever the case may have been. But we're going to get back into it.
Be over 12 miles long if it was reflecting light, and now they've used some of their instruments to see exactly what it's off-gassing. And oddly, it's off-gassing a large amount of carbon and not a lot of water and other elements which they expected to see. Water and ice is usually what makes this fuzzy coma around a comet. And then the whole thing's lit up symmetrical with the smaller particles being pushed out the backside, which form the tail. As it gets closer to the sun, it forms an ionized tail. It can have what they call a double tail. But this is missing one. And it's moving faster than anything they've ever seen coming into our area. Now, the path of this has really caught the eye of a lot of people. It follows a retrograde orbit aligned within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane. Super unnatural. Has a 0.005 chance of being natural, and it's coming in passing close to Venus at 0.65 AU, Mars at 0.19 AU, and Jupiter at 0.36 AU. The probability of this is off the charts. They say there's no way that something drops down into the ecliptic plane natural and is on a course like this that's going to skim and barely miss all these planets out of nowhere. Then they released information on Oumuamua, stating that indeed this thing was not a comet neither. It was an interstellar object, as they're dubbing, and it picked up speed as it took off out of here. Now they say,
right, you hear what it is he's saying, and yeah, absolutely, they're not what Esau is claiming them to be, man. Because we know that ultimately, majority of these things that they're ultimately citing are the chariots of the Lord, man. And they're everywhere, man, as it tells you in Proverbs 15:3, that the eyes of the Lord, you see, which are the angels, behold, are in every place, beholding both good and evil, you see. So the angels are everywhere watching everything that is ultimately happening and taking place in the earth. And the reason that these devils are seeing more sightings of the chariots and of the angels is because, like I said, we're in that time of season, man. We're getting closer and closer to the return of our Lord, you see. So, hey, that's the more you're going to see the chariots reveal themselves, man, because we're getting ready to come into that time, right? As a matter of fact, I'm going to actually go to a precept just on that, right, through the spirit, because, hey, we are getting closer to that day, brothers and sisters, So this is 1 Thessalonians, right, chapter 5, right, and I'm going to just read verse 1 and verse 2, right. It says, but of the times and the seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. You see, because hey, us hopeful like brothers and sisters, we're able to measure the times diligently in itself. We see all of the prophecies that are ultimately going on throughout the four winds of the earth. We see Jacob's trouble coming. We see the chip getting ready to come to pass. We see World War III taking off. You see, we see all of these things ultimately coming. So hey, we know what time and season we're in. You see. Verse 2, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so cometh as a thief in the night, you see. And that's what's going to happen. Our Lord is going to return as a thief in the night. You see, a lot of people is not going to be expecting it, man. As it tells you, I'm going to grab that right through the Spirit. Bear with me. St. Matthew, chapter 24. And I'm going to go down to verse, bear with me. I'm going to start at verse 37. It says, but as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be, right? Verse 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, right, which was the first death, and we know ultimately when the Lord returns, hey, this place America, after the elect are beamed up, this place is going to be destroyed by ICBM nuclear missiles and laser beams of the chariots. So you see, hey, that's what's going to come. But just like during the days of Noah, guess what? People were careless. They weren't thinking. Our people wasn't being observant. They weren't in the spirit. They wasn't being circumspect. They were just going along with their day-to-day lives, man, till ultimately the destruction came. And it's going to be the same thing when the Lord returns, man. Right. So it says, again, verse 38, for as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark. Right. Verse 39, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Right. Which is our Lord Yahushua. Verse 40. Then shall two be in the field, then one shall be taken and the other left, right? Because the Lord is only coming back for the 1/3 of the nation of Israel. So only the elect are going to get beamed up, man. Everybody is not going to make it, man. Only the elect of the nation of Israel. The Lord is not coming back for you heathens, and he's not coming back for the 2/3 of his own people, right? So it says, I'm going to finish reading it. Verse 41, two women shall be grinding at the mill, the one shall be taken and the other left, right? Verse 42, watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Lord doth come. You see, and that's why us hopeful elect brothers and sisters, we got to continue to be in the spirit. You see, praying, fasting, doing everything that we can do to stay in the spirit and staying closer to the Lord. Because like I said, we know that this day is fastly approaching, man, and it's coming sooner than what a lot of us believe. You see, because like I said, hey, the Lord can put the spirit on these devils tomorrow, man, and they can bring in that MOTB chip. So, I mean, hey, any day or week or month now, man, you see. But we are, getting closer to the return of the Lord, you see. So with that being said, Lord's willing, I pray this video was edifying, just something quick through the spirit. To the next time, I'm going to say shalom to the elect. Shalom.